How about that? He's just gonna have a bad day every day. Hey there world, I'm Rob. Welcome to my channel, Rob907. This is my 2020 Lowrider S. And this is a 114. In there is an S&S 475 cam that I did last year when I bought the bike with 8 miles on it. Decided to go stage 2. Waited till this winter to do the stage 3, which is the cylinders. I was wanting to go with an S&S 128 cubic inch kit, and I found one from Fuel Moto. The goal was to do this, get some power numbers, see how it pulled, and see how fun it was. But I got to thinking a little bit, and I thought, you know, if I'm going to be in here, I think I'm just going to do the whole thing. So what I ordered at first was this Fuel Moto kit. The cylinder is 128 S&S. You have your little logo right there. Like some pretty cylinders. And the 10 3/4 to 1 kit uses the stock heads. 10 3/4 to 1 compression and these flat top pistons. These are really pretty. It's almost a shame to mess those up. With these 5.5 injectors. I don't know, I just couldn't wait till next year. So I went ahead and ordered the heads. These are CNC ported level A heads on the Fuel Moto build. And because I already had the 10.75 to 1 compression pistons, I had them mill off 30 thousandths, take the meat off of the surface here, and reduces the area in here, thus increasing the compression to 11 to 1. And then of course decided that I was going to go ahead and get another cam and replace the S&S 475. This is the stock Harley cam, so by comparison here you can see the difference in the height and the duration, they call it the width. That's as long as the valve stays open as this rotates around. Holds the valve open until it gets to the other side, and then it lets the valve close again. So it lifts higher, farther open, and then for a longer time the wider this lobe is. And you can see with this cam here, this is a Woods WM8 408 cam. You can see the difference in lift. It's pretty substantial, especially when you look at this part back, this one back here. Holy cow. That is ridiculous. In comparison, it's a pretty big difference. Cowboy hat versus a top hat. Okay, it's a dumb comparison, but you know, get the idea. It's a lot, a big difference. And then of course, I decided I'm going to do this hanging clutch and springs, because you're only going to have so much fun until you can't clutch it. All right, well, anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and get started and tear this thing down a little bit. I'm not going to really show a complete step-by-step tutorial about how to do this, because this is the first Harley engine that I've done. I didn't really see a need to film the step-by-step, because if you're looking for a how-to video, you can go where I went, to Cycle Fanatics page. He has a mechanic that was kind enough to show his knowledge and experience, and it kind of helped me to get an idea of what I was going to do, and probably make it a little bit easier to find out along the way, rather than finding out the hard way along the way what to and not to do, and potentially cost thousands of dollars in errors. At any rate, I'm going to take these oil lines off. Now that's the next step. Disconnect them back here, and up in the front I've already pulled this line off, put compressed air in there and blew the oil back through, and there's still oil in there. And I'm taking the intake out, and there we have it. What once was there is now over there. Wasn't so bad coming apart. I had a little bit of a time getting these spacers off here. They were kind of fun to get worked out. You've got a lot of stuff up under here that holds everything up, especially with the rear cylinder. You've got a lot of this plastic. Got a lot of this stuff here. It's kind of in the way, and you just have to be patient and finesse it around. But I'm ready to start kind of cleaning things up and getting ready to go back together. Pretty excited about that. I am going to pull these piston jets. Those are the oil squirters, and the gaskets behind there have a stick-on adhesive that Harley puts on. I'm gonna take these off and replace the gaskets with some gaskets ordered that don't have any adhesive on there. I hear you can soak these in acetone. All of the bolts that came out of everything, fasteners like this. This is for the coil or spark plug, sparker thingy, whatever it's called. I tape the bolts to it here just to kind of keep everything together, and then of course all the parts. Pretty much did the same thing. So I know that all these bolts here, you know, they go with these rocker covers, and I put everything kind of in the order that I took it off, just to keep everything organized. It doesn't really matter with these, but these rocker arms, spacers as well, these covers, just kind of put them in the order that they came off of the bike, so that when they go back on, they'll go on the same way. Okay, I just got done pulling the cam out. The oil pump is right down there, the chain and timing gears and cam plate lifters. I'm going to reuse those lifters, so I took them out and kind of laid them there and oriented them so that they'll go back in the same spot. The cam bearing is next. I'll change that right up in there, and got all O-rings and gaskets and everything for that. The S&S cam 475 I took out looks almost brand new. It has very little wear on it. I'm pretty happy about that. It's got streaks from wiping the grease off, but otherwise still in really good shape. This is the stock Harley cam, whatever they call that, and as you can see with the S&S, there is quite a difference in the duration, especially. Look at the duration from here to here. That's as the lobe comes up, how long it keeps the valve open. This one is a lot wider, and also it's got more lift, but the big difference is how long it holds the valve open, the intake valve. So this is the Woods WM8408 that I'm putting in. You can see the difference between the S&S 475 and this cam is even more still. So man, this thing ought to explode into power. I can't wait to see what this thing does. So the oil jets, I checked those out. That's these piston oilers down here. Let's see if I can get in there. There we go. This is the piston oilers. So I checked the gasket. This is a 2020 M8 engine, and I was doing a little more research last night. It appears that a lot of the later models aren't having problems, and it was recommended by my Harley Master Tech at Anchorage House of Harley. He said that what he does with these is he just puts a torque wrench on it and checks it. I went ahead and just retorqued them. I was going to replace the gaskets, order gaskets, and then they came today. This little package here. And this is what I got. One. That's what they sent me. Ordered two. They sent me 1. 1, 2. I need 2. So, because they didn't turn that much when I put a torque wrench on them, and just a slight little nudge, I figured, okay. So I cranked up the torque on it and give it just another check, and they seem to be fine. So I'm gonna roll with that, especially because I only have 1. And I need 2. 2. 1, 2. 1. That was $2.99 and $13 of freight from Pennsylvania to Alaska. $13 for freight. And it came in a box. It came in a really nice box. Look at this box. It came in this box right here. This big old box. Dennis Kirk. 1. In this envelope, this gasket. In that box, that gasket for that engine. 2 of them. Give me 1. Okay, I guess I beat this point to death anyways. Yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and press on here and see what else I can do. Okay, got the cylinders on now. I got help, fortunately, because those clips going in the piston pins and the rings on the pistons, getting those with the ring compressor is not as easy as I thought. But I've never done it before. And apparently, neither has he.
But we figured it out.
Yes. Lots of patience. And the only reason why it was good that he was here, no, there's lots of reasons. It was good that he was here though, because I was a little embarrassed about throwing stuff around the garage. So that was good. That was the #1 reason why I'm glad you're here. Anyways, we're gonna put the heads on now. We got everything switched over, I think. If we didn't, we'll know as soon as we start plugging stuff in and have to take the heads back off because we missed something. I don't know.
I just got this thing in the mail and I couldn't believe my eyes when I opened the box. This is an HPI 62mm throttle body and intake, and as you can see, this is truly a work of art.
Okay, it looks like a motorcycle again. That's pretty cool. Just turned it over for a couple of cycles without the spark plugs attached. And just get the oil and everything all kind of looped up and in there, and we're ready to fire it off and see. So I haven't started it yet, so this could be bad. It turned over really nice. You could hear the exhaust was just... I'm excited. These guys are laughing at me. I don't care, because I'm excited. He's excited. I know he's excited. He's excited. He's not. He's just a neighbor. He don't ride motorcycles. He don't care. He drinks though, and that's cool. So, okay, here we go. We're gonna give it a whirl here. You ready? Okay, well, that wraps it up. It started, it ran, held it at 2,500 RPMs for a little bit. I'm not really sure how to heat cycle it, so I'm gonna go read about that a little bit. And yeah, just got it up to about 207 degrees, 2,500. Smoking a lot. There's a lot of mechanic tracks all over all the cylinders, handprints, oil and whatnot, fingerprints. So I'm not too worried about that. Push rod tubes, they seem to be okay. Don't seem to be any leaks there, but we'll know more tomorrow.
going to finish the heat cycle process and then take it over to House of Harley Anchorage, and Billy's going to tune it and see what kind of numbers this thing puts out.
So I'm just getting to House of Harley-Davidson in Anchorage. Billy just called me and told me that he put my bike on the dyno and he is about to tune it. And I came down here to check it out and see how his progress is. There it is. It's idling. It's got one hell of a thump to it, but no sign of Billy.
There's Billy right there. So we are here at House of Harley in Anchorage. Billy has been putting it through his paces here, giving it a tune. I'm really excited to see what he comes up with, but I couldn't wait for the power run, so I am here just to take up his time, and it's gonna cost me extra, but whatever, because I'm excited. Yeah.
Awesome. So I have the 90 and 100% columns to finish. Other than that, so it's do a column, let it cool down for like 7 or 8 minutes, and then it's back to operating temperature or a good starting place.
Listen to that thump on that. Can you open the door?
Oh yeah.
Listen to that thump.
That is that's a Wood WM8 408 cam 520 lift. Oh yeah, I can't wait. Okay, we're gonna let him work and stay tuned.
So the first tune is done. And I say first tune because obviously there's a problem here. So what I've asked Billy to do is to overlay a tune from another bike. This is my buddy Andy's Screaming Eagle 131 build, and this is my S&S 128 build. Billy just installed a 77X wood cam in Andy's bike, and I have the Wood WMA 408. So by comparison, the 77X wood cam is, like mine, a 520 lift cam, but his duration is 244 intake and exhaust, whereas mine is 248 duration, intake, and exhaust. So they're very similar cams, but as you can see, very dissimilar results. So the initial number, when looking at 4th gear pulls, you could probably expect to see higher in 6th gear, but we're using 4th gear pulls, so we have a good reference and some accuracy in comparing them. Pretty close numbers. I'd hope to see 140, so that's close enough that I could be satisfied with that. However, there is a big difference in the torque, and I'd hope to see 150 foot-pounds of torque, but seeing that there is this big gap here makes me wonder if this event is maybe causing some problems for it to play catch up and it just doesn't get there. Or there could be some other issues up here. So what I've done is I've reached out to Lucas at Moto, and he asked me to send him the map, so I did, and he made some changes to the VE tables and Spark and sent it back and instructed us to run another tune on top of that map. So we have the map flashed in the bike, and we're going to begin that tuning process now. I think it's pretty cool that a guy in Wisconsin can add to a map that we're tuning on here in Alaska, and we can continue to tune. That's just really cool to me. Lucas seems to think that the changes here that he's making, they were probably caused by some kind of anomaly with the auto tune function and the power vision. We don't know, but anyway, we're going to take the next step. We're going to begin tuning, and let's see what happens. All right. Well, we're gonna fire this thing up, run it through its paces, and see what we get. You think it'll do good?
Oh yeah, it'll tune right up.
All right. Okay, here we go.
Okay, it is a few days later. I have since had the motorcycle delivered. I'm back in my garage. I had it delivered because I still live in Alaska. And so anyways, just thought that I would take a few minutes to go over the final results. So just to refresh, the tune that we did initially, we had the flat spot, and when I laid another map over it, my buddy Andy's 131 Screaming Eagle, you can see that there was a significant difference. Couldn't leave it just like that, so I contacted Lucas. He had me send him my map. He made some changes down low, sent it back to us. We flashed it, and here are the results. So this is the line from after we flashed the map to the bike. Did some power pulls after the bike was warmed up, of course, and got this result, and then did some tuning, and this line was the final result. And as you can see, it's a significant improvement. We went from 137.5 to 141 on the horsepower, but look at that, 137.8 on the torque. Kind of disappointing after tuning it. Drum roll. 150 foot-pounds of torque. That's pretty impressive. Again, these are 4th gear pulls, and 6th gear probably would have shown even better numbers yet, but 150 foot-pounds of torque. Man,
For a big twin, torque is where it's at. That's what you really want to pay attention to. And 141 horsepower is nothing to sneeze at. So again, when we look at the overlay from Andy's Screaming Eagle, this is what is amazing to me. It's 131 Screaming Eagle build versus 128 S&S build. Two similar cams. The same guy doing the tuning though, for the most part. And these are the numbers that we got. 141 on mine, 140.6 on his. Torque, 150 on mine, 149.5 on his. You know, these are
Not really numbers that are going to be such a huge difference when you jump from one bike to the next. Same person riding them, the experience, you're not going to notice a difference. You're just not. Two different manufacturers. I couldn't be happier with the results. I'd like to thank my buddy Matt for his help in learning about this process with me and helping me to hold things, get things, figure things out, learning about all the torque values, the different things that we had to do. So thank you, Matt, for your help there. I would like to thank Anchorage House of Harley-Davidson. I'd like to thank the people that work there. I'd like to thank Billy, my friend and mechanic, for inspiring me and helping me with good tips and knowledge, and also Dee Dee for all that she puts up with, letting me call the manufacturers and set up what I want, and then bugging her to get that for me. That whole process, if you were there, you would know it's a hassle, and I truly love you, buddy. Thank you for helping me to see this thing through and get it done the way I wanted to. And thanks to Fuel Moto, all those guys there, Lucas, Travis, Bob, all those guys for all the time they spent with me on the phone to get to the point that I wanted to get to see this build come to reality. All that's left now is just to go rip the streets and ride it, and I'm gonna do some filming of that, give you some reviews on that, and anything else that comes down the pike, we'll just see. If you like what you saw here, like this video. If you want to see more, subscribe to all the YouTube stuff, and until next time, ride hard, live good, be well. Live good, ride hard, and be well. Well, there.
So let's just take a look at the overlay of the two motorcycles, my buddy Andy's 131 Screaming Eagle build and my S&S 128 build. The red line is the S&S build. The blue line is the Screaming Eagle 131. And as you can see, Andy's runs like shit. Yeah, it runs like total shit. The waviness and inconsistency in his line, that's really gonna fuck him up. When he's getting his wrist action going there, it's really gonna confuse him. Oh, and the power numbers, let's see. So he kind of looks like maybe is, and then maybe, and then, so let's look at his power numbers here though, because I think I'm making more horsepower, and I think. Oh no. Red. Oh, look at that. I'm making more torque. Ha! Look at that. Making more horsepower too. More horsepower. More horsepower than Andy. More torque. Huh. How about that? He's just gonna have a bad day every day.